Imagine the audacity of deciding to build a city of marble palaces on a lagoon. The city made walking on water seem easy remains as unique and remarkable as it ever was. Hi, I'm Lucia and I do travel videos around Italy, and this is Venezia, that is Venice, Italy. Visiting Venice is like living in a dream, and no trip to Italy is complete without a trip to Venice. This floating city is built on water and is famous for its romantic gondola rides, Venice Carnival festival, beautiful bridges spread out on 118 little islands with winding waterways, tiny back streets where there are no cars, no roads, but only canals, with over 400 bridges, canal front restaurants, charming hotels, and an extraordinary artistic heritage. Venice, also known as the City of Canals, is unique environmentally, architecturally, and historically. The lagoon and a part of the city are listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In this video, I hope to make your trip to Venice more than just a gondola ride, so you'll get the general idea how Venice looks like, what to see in Venice, how to get around in Venice, and most importantly, if you're thinking of visiting this magical place, it will be better to acquaint yourself with its incredible rich history in advance. So here's my nutshell guide to the history of the beautiful iconic floating city of Venice. So please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel before we get to know more about Venice. Venice is the capital of the northern Italy's Veneto region and lies in a vast lagoon between two rivers flowing into the Adriatic Sea, and it is built on 118 small islands that are separated by canals and linked by over 400 bridges. On the mainland is the modern part of Venice, while on the islands is the old town with the famous historical and monumental Venice that everyone drools about. Until modern times, the city of Venice was accessible only by boat. Then in 1846, this causeway with train tracks and a highway added later by Mussolini connected the city to the rest of Italy. Venice is known by many names, from the Queen of the Adriatic, La Serenissima, the City of Masks, the City of Canals, the City of Water, to the Floating City, because as I said, Venice is actually built on water. And so we are all wondering, why was Venice built on water when there was so much land in Italy? Well, let me take you back to the 5th century. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire in AD 476, Italy was fragmented into numerous city-states which were identified as seats of power. Ravenna was one, Milan was one, Aquileia to the north of Venice was also one, and Venice was just nothing. Venice was simply a tiny fishing village located on small marshy islands. Venice is historically a detached island from Italy and is unique among major Italian cities such as Rome and Florence, not just for its geography, but also because it did not exist in the Roman Empire's heyday. Venice was not a Roman town. It does not have the fragments of Roman ruins scattered around as seen everywhere across the globe where the Romans stepped foot on. Basically, it does not even have land. So after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Europe was in chaos. The Roman refugees fled to safety from the barbarian invasions on the mainland and moved to the murky wetlands of the lagoon, and some of them settled on the islands in this lagoon and started building the city on water. Over the coming centuries, the Venetian Republic became a major financial and powerful maritime empire, making Venice a wealthy city throughout its history. Venice is rich in history and still has all the amazing architecture, art and beauty collected in more than 1,000 years of Venetian Republic. But you know how history has been with trying to conquer new lands. Sadly, it's still happening right now. Is peace asking for too much? Anyway, let's stick to this story. In 1797, with Napoleon conquering most of Europe, including Venice, it was the end of the Venetian Republic. Then, after the fall of Napoleon, Venice was annexed by the Austrian Empire until it became part of Italy in 1866. So, the next question you must be wondering is, how was Venice built on water? The core of Venice was built on 118 islands in the salty water lagoon, and the foundations of these houses that you see have been consolidated with the use of millions of wooden posts driven closely to each other and deep into the ground, into the mud and sand, until they reached a much harder layer of compressed, compact layer of clay in the soil, meters below the surface soil layer of the lagoon, before leveling it off and covering it. Then you think, will the wood rot with the time? Well, the Venetians thought it all out. Rather than rotting, the salt water hardened the waterlogged wood, and lack of air actually petrified, turning it into a solid foundation, thereby preventing damage and rotting of the wood. Basically, Venice sits on millions of poles. Ingenious, no? So once you reach Venice Old Town, there are no cars, no buses, or even bicycles. That goes to say that you can get around Venice Old Town only on foot or by boat. And this can be challenging for wheelchairs, baby strollers, and big suitcases. There are 4 ways to get around Venice: the Vaporetto, water taxi, the traghetto, and gondola. Personally, I'd say walk on foot around Venice, but for various reasons and needs, there are these 4 modes that will not only save you time, but will also save your feet. I dragged my suitcase from the station to our Airbnb, went up and down numerous bridges. On top of that, it was winter, so that day was not only cold, but also raining. The walk from the station was 30 minutes, but with luggage, cold, rain, and failed Google Maps, trust me, Google Maps will fail you. The journey seemed longer than that. So if you don't want this experience, there are other options. Bearing this luggage walking situation in mind, including those with baby strollers, it's important to plan well where your accommodation will be from the station, because it determines how far you walk. Vaporetto is a local water bus service with a single ticket costing €7.50 per hour. You can also get travel cards depending on the duration of time you'll be in Venice. There is the 24-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour, and 7 days travel card. Traghetto is a ferry, and in Venice it happens to be a large gondola offering public gondola service that can carry up to 10 passengers, operated by 2 rowers or oarsmen. Unlike your usual gondola that goes down the Grand Canal, a traghetto gets across it. It's good to know that the Grand Canal splits Venice into 2 halves, and it has only 4 bridges connecting these 2 halves. So if you are not close to any of these bridges, the traghetto is a great way to get to the other side. These 4 bridges crossing the Grand Canal are the famous Ponte di Rialto, which is the Rialto Bridge, which is the oldest of the 4. The second is the Ponte dei Scalzi near the railway station, Ponte dell'Accademia. Then the last is the Ponte della Costituzione. A one-way ticket costs €2 for tourists or non-residents, and you buy the ticket directly from the oarsman. The gondola is the very symbol of Venice, and it's probably the reason you want to visit Venice. The price is €80 for 40 minutes. The price is per gondola, 6 passengers max. A water taxi is a more luxurious way to move around. One of the most popular routes is to take a water taxi from Venice Marco Polo Airport to the city center, which could cost €120 for a 30-minute trip. Within the city, a water taxi costs you around €40 to €70 depending on the route. Venice is the most popular tourist attraction in the world, attracting around 25 million tourists per year. Bear in mind, the historical island city of Venice has about 50,000 inhabitants. Venice and its lagoon was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987, and thanks to its history and wealth, Venice has amazing and popular tourist hotspots, with the main attraction being on Piazza San Marco, that is St. Mark's Square. Piazza San Marco, which is considered one of the finest and most beautiful squares in the world, is named after its patron saint, St. Mark, and on this square you will find the beautiful St. Mark's Basilica. Just left of St. Mark's Basilica is a unique clock, Torre dell'Orologio, which had a very practical use for sailors, giving them information such as the time of day and the current zodiac sign and phases of the moon to help them decide on the favorable time to set out to sea. The Campanile, that is the bell tower which you can climb and get amazing panoramic views of Venice. Tickets cost €10. And when you walk along the buildings inside the square, you will find Caffè Florian, an old cafe house in Piazza San Marco established in 1720, making it over 300 years old, and is the oldest coffee house still operating in Italy and one of the oldest in the world. A little pricey in there, but hey, YOLO! Also from St. Mark's Square, you get the most beautiful view of the lagoon, with gondola rides parked alongside, and on your left is the Palazzo Ducale, that is the Doge's palace, which is a palace built in Venetian Gothic style and was the center of political power during the Republic of Venice. Now it houses a massive museum with some of the most beautiful arts. The ticket costs €30, but it also gives you access to 3 other museums. The Bridge of Sights. Apparently, when the prisoners were condemned, they would walk across this bridge into prison and they'd sigh as they take their last look out into Venice. Same sigh I did when I left Venice. Venice regularly suffers from flooding. If you visit between November and February, you'll be lucky to experience this flooding, commonly called acqua alta to mean high water, and you'll see just how the city manages to still operate with the flooding. Another bizarre thing to see are these holes on the ground, which bring in and drain water during the acqua alta. Here are the fun, cool things about Venice. Venice is actually shaped like a fish. Who would have guessed that a city formed from a swampy lagoon will end up looking like a fish? Goods and parcels are delivered by boat. Also, utilities like trash is collected on boats. Cool, isn't it? This rule also applies to caskets and, well, dead bodies. One cool thing not to miss is the Carnival of Venice, which is unique in the world, dating back to the 10th century. That's it, guys. I hope now you have a clear picture of Venice, on its history, how to get around, and its main tourist attractions. Venice can be smelly, it can be quite busy and crowded. Heck, it's expensive, but you know what? None of that really actually matters when walking in the footsteps of some of the greatest architects, painters, and thinkers who've ever walked this earth. To some, they may say Venice is hyped. But look at this. This isn't a hype. This is the real deal. Venice is truly beautiful, and I think it's a must visit for travelers, history lovers, the lovers themselves, and Instagrammers at least once in a lifetime. For me, I think I'll be back again and again to dig in deeper, and I promise to share it all with you guys. Venice is definitely a place worth experiencing. If you liked watching up to this far, please leave me a like and comment and subscribe to my channel so you never miss an upload. Okay. Ciao, ciao!